Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another session. Wake up, everybody, virtual community. Today is day 613. My name is Jenniffer Turpeau, and I am so excited to talk to you today about beauty equity. How's everyone doing this morning? I am super, super duper excited. Please bring pen and pencil, coffee, tea, peppermint water. Do you have your Wake Up Everybody mug, your swag? We are ready. This is going to be a super duper exciting day. Hello, everyone. Hi, hi, hi. How's everyone doing? Hello, Adam. Hello. How's everyone doing this morning?
Good morning, Jenniffer. How you doing this morning?
I am so good. I'm so glad that you're here today, brother. Well, welcome everyone. Do you have your Wake Up Everybody swag? I have it. It's full of peppermint water and I'm super excited to be here with you today. Ladies and gents, we're going to talk about beauty equity. What is beauty equity? Are you all ready? We're going to have some really confronting, sensitive, fun topics today, and I'm excited to come to you for help in this topic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yay!
Everybody, good morning.
Good morning, Ese. How's it going? Thank you for
it's amazing. How are you doing?
Good. Where are you from?
I'm from the Philippines.
Oh, great. We have people from the Philippines here today.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let me see. Who else is here? Who else is here? I can't see it. Let us see. Let me see. Well, welcome everyone. Oh, I see, Catherine. How's it going? Grand Rising Queen. Grand Rising everyone. Community, I'm super excited to be here with you. Make sure that you have some pen and pencil. Bring your tea, bring your coffee, bring your swag. We're going to have an amazing session. Beauty equity. Good morning. I see folks are joining us. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Marilyn. Good morning, Dakeya. I am so excited to have you here today. How's everyone doing? Hello, Facebook. How's everyone?
Great, Jenniffer. Thank you for asking.
Good morning. Good morning. I see the chat. Waking up. We're having all these amazing people joining us today. The absence of the darkness. The light confirms the absence of the darkness. Amen. I love that. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Kelsey. Good morning, Kelsey. Welcome. Welcome to today's session, Beauty Equity. Make sure that you grab a pen, a pencil, and that's all you need. Good morning. All right. Let's see. Let's celebrate our beauty. Yes. This is so exciting. Yes. Oh my God. Veronica, welcome. Sahura, is that how you say your name? Is so gorgeous.
Yes, that's how to say my name, Zahora.
Sahura.
It means goddess of love.
Good morning. Good morning, Teresa. She sounds just like Teresa.
Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. It's time to get up. We're healing. We're dealing. We're growing. Together, together, releasing. We're teaching, we're moving. Together, together, we're learning, discerning, we're striving. Together, together, we're leading, connecting, transforming. Together, together.
Good morning, community. I am super excited. I feel very privileged to be here with you once again. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jenniffer Turpeau, and I am a beauty and self-love activist. What does that mean? I'm committed to activating self-love and beauty to everyone I touch. My work is expressed through my two companies. One is a fashion and beauty brand called Madame Turpeau, and the other one is the Beauty Builders Academy. And so today I am here on behalf of both companies. So we'll be talking about some sensitive and confronting topics, also fun and also very human. And I'm also, full disclosure, coming here to ask you for help, to co-create and investigate what does it take to liberate beauty for all and for good. This is a question that I think I'm going to be searching for the rest of my life. So there are two questions that I hope that together we can answer at the end of this journey, these 90 minutes that we're going to have together today. And one of the questions, we're not going to answer them right now, but I sort of wanted us to have it in our awareness as we listen to everything we'll be discussing and sharing today. One question is, how can a brand champion beauty equity? And the second one is, how can brands empower us, the people, to honor our own beauty first before we interact with whatever beauty they propose? And so that is something that we're going to come back to. But before everything, before we move forward, I want to ground us in the question that drives the Beauty Builders Academy, which some of you heard of it on the last session that I facilitated. And hopefully, if we have some new folks, do you mind raising your electronic hand so we know who's new, who's listening to this question for the first time, if at all? The question is, does your idea of beauty include you? And if you've heard this question before, I want you to get present to that question. It's something that I ask myself often, almost every day, and see what you feel about that today in comparison to the last time. Do we have any new folks in this session today? I don't see any electronic hands. So,
they might be needing a little instruction on how to do that. I'm sure the community knows how to raise the electronic hand, but I think that they might be otherwise occupied. Anyhow, on the bottom of the screen is a word that says reactions, bottom right. If you click on reactions, then you'll have choices of things to do. One of them is raise your hand. And if you can't raise your hand, you could drop, obviously, you could drop the comment in the chat. And you can also come off mute just for a quick second and say, I'm new. So Althea raises her hand. She's new to this topic, this session.
Great. Are you willing to come on video and share with us? Like, what comes up for you when you ask yourself, does my idea of beauty include me? I,
Read it up.
good
Good
morning.
morning, Grand Rising, everyone.
Grand Rising.
The question caught me by surprise because I literally just popped in the chat. Some days I do feel like my beauty is to be celebrated, to be shown, to be seen, and then other days I kind of feel like, no, my beauty does not live up to the standard of society beauty.
Thank you for that. I think that a lot of us feel like you. I speak for myself. Can you share with us what your idea of society's beauty standard is in your occurring?
Well, from my observation is that beauty is more of a visual for society. It's what you wear, your body, like the shape of your body, the color of your skin, the features that we possess tend to be favored more by one than it does the other. I am more of a chocolate complexion, and I can say with certainty that some of my interactions have been less savory just because of my complexion or texture of my hair or my structure of itself. But every day I try to look myself in the mirror and just be like, you're beautiful, like this is you have something unique to offer, even though I'm probably there's so much more people that looks like me. Just reinforcing that within myself before leaving and entering into the world um, gives me a sense of importance, because then I am talking to that girl that it's looking back at me and not feeling so fully immersed in the beauty that I carry. So many times, often, I would stand in the mirror, I would dance, I would laugh at myself, joke, see things about myself that I do enjoy and I do love, and that I feel like it's important for the world to see. So when I do go out there and I feel like, yeah, I don't like the way this person is really communicating with me, or the interaction, I remember that what they are feeling and projecting is not really mine, it's theirs.
Wow, that's super amazing
Complete.
and lovely. Sounds like your leadership with yourself, like you're leading yourself powerfully in those moments that you're not feeling your power, or that you're not experiencing your beauty so much. You have the ability and have the tools to get yourself up, to talk yourself through it. You have a ritual of looking in the mirror, saying things to yourself, dancing, getting active, and talking yourself through the situations to say, this isn't mine. You know, this is what I choose. Am I correct?
Yes, it's something that I realized I needed to incorporate more into my life, because the feeling of inadequacy really hinder my progress in life and my growth, and it didn't make me feel good about my presence. I kind of like to shy away from that just because of not feeling that beauty and not owning it. So it's a practice for me now to feel and embody the beauty that I have. And I'm not speaking only physical beauty, but also with my attitude, with my demeanor, with the way that I show love and receive love. I realize that that also plays a part in my beauty and how I show up in the world.
Part of the message that we use in Beauty Builders is that beauty is an attitude, and it's sort of like this dance, because when you have that attitude and you have your own back, you have the ability to guide yourself to see your beauty. Is there is there something in your body that you're like, oh my God, this is my favorite part of my body. I love this. No matter what, I can always look at this, and it's my entrance to feeling better.
Yes, my butt. I love my butt. I can look back and it's there for me. When I gain weight, lose weight, I look back and she's little and she shakes and she's loving and I love it. Yeah, my butt.
That's amazing. You know, I have this practice that whenever I'm not feeling very good, my shoulders are my favorite part of my body. So, you know, when I'm showing my shoulders, I'm trying to give myself strength. It's like the part that I celebrate. So I go for celebration walks. Like I'm not feeling good, I go out with my shoulders out and nobody knows what's happening. And I'm just walking with my shoulders, and that always makes me feel better. It's one of the practices that I do to lift myself up. Because when you're able to fill yourself up from yourself, you're not looking for somebody else to give you that love or that approval, which tends to make us weaken our spirit and makes us feel so powerless.
I felt like I just want to go off of what you just said. Looking for love on the outside has taught me that it's not sustainable. Like I can't always have access to it because sometimes people can cut off the love that they are willing to share. So for me, like finding ways to self-love, healthy ways to self-love was is something that is very important for me in this time of my life, just to be able to be like, I'm feeling down today. Maybe shaking my ass will work. I'm gonna access that. You know, it just does something for me. So yeah, I agree. Flaunt what makes you beautiful.
Thank you so much. This was
Thank
such a beautiful share. I just want to give you guys heads up, everybody who's in the community, everybody who participates will get a free lip treatment from Madame Turpeau. We'll give you instructions at the end on how to access that. But thank you so much. You'll be getting one, Althea. Anybody else wants to share before we move forward?
Yes, I'm reading the chat. So Louise also wasn't here before. She says, I think of beauty, when she thinks of beauty, it absolutely includes her. She says, I love my complexion, how I look, my body, including my roles with the LOL, my hair and my personality. To me, the beauty of people comes from their personality, not just their external looks. And Catherine says, love awaits my welcome. Chantel says, same. Catherine adds, my better feelings come from my progress of how I exercise my love muscle. Essay says, you're amazing, beautiful. And I think she's referring to Althea. Chantel says, nothing a good twerk can't fix.
I need to learn how to do that. Can somebody teach me, please? Thank you so much. You know, this is something that, this conversation about, does your idea of beauty include you? Yes, we have, you know, we have we get our beauty, we experience beauty through so many things. But the conversation that I like to drive is specifically about our looks. And why is that? Because we have a hard time saying, in my world, my body is beautiful. My features are beautiful. I have a problem with this, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. And that's, you know, we can all have a bit of dissatisfaction and work towards that. But I'm talking about us including our image in the definition of beauty, because it's very important to change the conversation, you know, so that we're not always thinking that Eurocentric features are, you know, are the definition of beauty, because we do feel there are these things that we don't want to talk about sometimes, but we experience life differently because of the way we look. When I enter a room with my brother, a man of color, it's different than when I enter with my significant other who's a white man. I see the world, and we struggle with image, and we struggle with our bodies, and we struggle with our skin color, you know, a lot of times. And so the conversation about, does your looks, does your idea of beauty, you are responsible for, and you're the creator of your life. You get to create what's beautiful in your life, yet sometimes we choose somebody else's idea of beauty, whether they come from our culture, from society, from the kids that made fun of us at the playground. Pardon me. The media, the fashion companies, you know, we are still, it's still a struggle. So the question, does your idea of beauty include you, your physicality, I think is revolutionary. If we start to talk about this, and if we start to look at things differently, like, oh, I have the power to choose what's beauty in my life. So when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm not feeling so beautiful today. Let's get you there. Or you know what? You also are beautiful. There's not just one beauty, but a lot of us silently struggle so much, and it affects the quality of our life experience, our self-expression. You know, there's mental health around it, there's trauma, there's things to address that can help us have that better relationship with ourselves and see the beauty. But today we're touching on that, on our physicality. Ouch, I just on our physicality, because I think it's super important. And as the owner of a fashion and beauty brand, I'll tell you, this is what drove me to create a fashion and beauty brand, because I didn't see Chanel honoring my beauty. I didn't see all these companies that included, you know, when I was a child and I was coming across, you know, these messages, I didn't see me. I wasn't part of it. And so I think that this is a great, let's go to slide number 1, which I think is a great segue.
Okay, I'm going to add, if you don't mind, from Facebook, Jem says, I like my lips, my butt, my stomach that is relatively flat. And I love that I look younger than I actually am. Now I will slide.
All right, so here we have, if you go to madameturpeau.com, this is my website, I make a declaration, liberating beauty for all and for good. And this is a bold statement, and I know it. And I am going to work for the rest of my life to try and accomplish this. And what does that look like? I don't know, but I am here to ask you for help on this as well. So let me give you a little bit of background, and maybe you can relate. So how many of you felt like, growing up, that the beauty messages from like high luxury companies left you feeling left out and unworthy, making you feel like you weren't part of something? You know, you can put I relate or me on the chat. And so, you know, I grew up in the projects, and my life looks so different than that in the magazines. And I'll tell you a little bit about what my experience was. You know, we didn't have, I'm from Puerto Rico, we didn't have the American TV and the kind of exposure to you know, advertisement the way you guys do here. But, you know, I loved as a little girl going to Walgreens. And why? There was candy and there was air conditioner. Okay, so we didn't have air conditioner. Living in an island, it is humid and it is super hot. But going to Walgreens was great because there was a beauty counter, the cosmetic aisle. There were posters of women in some beautiful cities. They looked gorgeous. I would open the magazines and they were glossy and glorious. They smell like expensive perfume. These women, their faces were asymmetrical and gorgeous. Their teeth were pearly white. Their eyes looked like umbrellas were coming out in all kinds of blues and greens and grays. And they looked so happy and they looked stunning. The fabrics that they would wear, they looked like they could have all the candy in the world that they wanted, that they had everything available for them, that life was so gracious and so abundant. It was just this magical experience holding these magazines, right? And then there was Sears, and I don't know if that exists anymore. We had Sears, and I would walk into the cosmetic part, and then there was the smell, the gorgeous smell, and all the posters with the women standing there and the lights coming from behind them. And they just looked glorious. It was such an amazing experience. And then we would go back home, and then my mom was splitting food evenly for the kids, you know, for all of us to have the same. And she was putting water. I mean, I'm getting so teary about this. and she's putting water on the lotion to spread it. You know, this is such a disparity in the world, right? And I think that a lot of us can relate to this, but I just remember feeling I'm not like that. I don't have that. I want that. I want to be beautiful. I want to have that abundance. I want to have that ease. Everything looks so effortlessly, right? And so, you know, these companies told me what beauty was. And then there was the experiences in school. I was highly bullied. I was extremely bullied for my looks. There were all, I have a list of names, but I will bore you with it. It's so long. And then I would go to see my family in the mountains, which I loved, but they were all white. And I really felt that I wasn't like them. I wasn't beautiful like them, because I saw, Walgreens told me that beauty was this other look that I didn't have. And my family loved me. They never said anything about color, but I had grasped, I had caught on that idea. And so let me give you a little bit of history of Puerto Rico. It's the History Week. So let's go to slide number 2. I'll catch you up with Puerto Rican history today. So this is a mural in one of the towns in Puerto Rico, and it says Tres razas, una cultura, la puertorriqueña, which means 3 races, 1 culture, the Puerto Rican culture. And so Puerto Ricans today are the product of slavery. We were colonized by the Spaniards, Christopher Columbus, 1493. And after abusing, killing, raping so many Taínos, which were the natives, the indigenous people of the land, they brought enslaved Africans to join Taínos. That's right, Boricua. And so the Taíno force, the adult force, was, you know, had weakened. So they had the enslaved Africans help out with the land and extract the gold. Puerto Rico was very, very rich in metals and gold. Hence, Puerto Rico, rich port. And so, you know, can't find none of that gold anymore. And so that's why we have Puerto Ricans were the mix of these 3 races. So you can see in the fabric of our people that we're all so diverse. So my mother displays a more indigenous look with Afro texture hair. My father's family, very light skin, blue eyes, green eyes, light skin. And so I look after my mother. So for a long time, amongst all my cousins, I was the darkest one. And that was a real big pain point for me. Growing up, I used to put baby powder on my face and ask my grandmother if she would love me more. So this was really real for a 7-year-old. And so, you know, couple that with the school environment being very brutal about my looks, me thinking that white was beautiful and I wasn't anything close to that. And then there were the fashion and magazine companies at Walgreens. So, you know, I grew up having this big desire to experience something and I didn't know how to get it. My mother used to say to us, you might be poor, but class, you have plenty of that. That is free and it can't be bought, even if you had the money. And that was her way of saying to us that we had a right to live a life full of dignity and beauty despite of our circumstances. And messaging, fashion, advertisement became so important to me that I went on to earn a degree as a classical trained actress, became a producer for video commercials, for photography, worked with Nike, Adidas, Lane Bryant, to name a few. And I became the owner of a fashion and beauty brand because messaging, I know the power it has on our psyche and our society, especially our children. Is there someone who wants to share before I move forward?
Yeah, we have a hand from Marilyn. Marilyn, you want to unmute?
Good morning. Good morning. I was the one that wrote Boricua in the house. Yes, you brought up so many memories. Also, growing up, I was born in Puerto Rico. I was a military brat, so we ended up moving around a lot. And I think that for me, growing up as a kid, my beauty was, especially in PR, that I knew English, especially, you know, I felt that people surrounded me, especially because I knew English and not necessarily because of my beauty. But also growing up very poor, like you, there was days that we have to kind of like figure out how we're going to eat, how we're going to survive. I remember my stepdad used to take food from the military base just to bring home so we can eat. And one of the things that I felt like I appreciate so much how I grew up, because I know, not that I don't want to live like that, but I know that I need to better myself for me, for my family, for children when I have them in the future. But also growing up as a kid, again, the bullying, I had really, really bad teeth. We couldn't afford to get my teeth fixed or anything. And one of the things that I did as a grown up, and I'm telling you, were the best $5,000 I ever spent were braces and getting my teeth fixed. But I did it for myself. I did it so I could smile, because for many years I couldn't. Every time I did, I covered. And it's just, I knew that no matter how I tried to fix myself up, that deep down inside affected me a lot. And once I did, even my husband, because I was already dating him when I started fixing my teeth, I just blossomed. I just smile all the time. I don't care. And I just feel like that lifted up a weight. But yes, you mentioning Puerto Rico and, how we grew up and everything, it just, I guess, made me who I am, and that desire to move forward and just become better and just accept me, my roots. I am, my hair, my texture, my spiciness, everything, my whole package just stems from living out there, and I am complete.
Thank you for that. I know, last class I spoke about Tetris. For those of you who don't know, Tetris is sort of like, it's a philosophy that I have about life. We are given things, and it's what we do with it that gives us the power on how do we transform our life. And that sharing is sort of like, it's what we like, you have nothing to do with how your teeth are, right? But you can do something about it. And when we do something to address yourself. So when I talk about beauty, it's not necessarily that you cannot have some dissatisfaction. We have some dissatisfactions, and we can help ourselves. Like, what would you do for your child if it was in that situation? You can do whatever it takes to support yourself, to have your own back so that you feel better. And so helping yourself in whatever way is needed for you to heal and for you to address those things that make you feel unhappy is also part of the conversation. Thank you so much for that beautiful share. Can we go to slide number 3?
Briefly, Jennifer, we had a question from Facebook.
Yes.
Kaisha wanted to know, what was your grandmother's response? Did the women in your life uplift you despite your skin color difference?
So my grandmother used to take me by the head and soap my face and tell me that I was beautiful and that she loved me so much that I didn't need to do that to earn her love.
Beautiful. And we see colorism in so many different cultures, right? So thank you so much for bringing that up. That's a whole topic in itself.
Yes, colorism indeed. So here is me. I just wanted to share a little bit about my grandmother and my family. Picture number 1, it's me in my glory. I'm a beach bum when I live in the island. This is when I was living in the island. The second picture is me as a child holding my cousin. Picture number 3 is me holding my niece. And picture number 4 is me with my grandmother. So just wanted to sort of share with you sort of like the range in our skin color, even, inside the same family. Just to tell you a little bit about how Puerto Rican people can look. So we can get rid of that slide. Okay, so going back to why I created Madame Turpeau and why I made the declaration of liberating beauty for all and for good. So I realized that liberation is something that I cannot do on my own. Liberation cannot happen in a vacuum. So this is where the equity conversation comes in. And so let's make a distinction between equity design and beauty equity. Beauty equity is a term that I am exploring, that it doesn't really exist, that I'm here to ask you for help. So equity-centered design, the word design, we live in systems by design. We are in this community, we're all designers, we are healers. So, you know, the system of oppression is made by design. The luxury system, this is by design to appeal to a mystery, to be aspirational, to leave a segment of society outside. The good news about systems by design is that we can change it. But understanding that they are designed is important in our power. So let's go to slide number 4. And can I have a volunteer to read?
So, someone just came off of mute. Who was that? You can come off of mute to read, or I'm going to call on somebody. Is that Adam?
Read. Yeah, I'll read. Equity-centered design is the practice of purposefully involving minoritized communities throughout a design process with the goal of allowing their voice to directly affect how the solution will address the inequity at hand. Equitable design acknowledges that equity doesn't happen by chance, but with intent and focus.
Thank you so much, brother. This is so important. Equitable design acknowledges that equity doesn't happen by chance, but with intent and focus. So when we look at equity-centered design, we are asking those minoritized communities, those oppressed communities, we're not really changing something that's already made, or we're not sort of like making something new, but we're looking to change systems that are in place. Is that resonating for the community? Let's talk first about the community level. We have a slide for that. It's a question. When it comes to beauty ideas, what do we observe and experience from high fashion companies as the community that we identify with? Okay, high fashion companies, Chanel, Gucci, Prada, Cartier. Does anyone in here in this space has a particular reaction or an observation that you have when it comes to these companies?
She has her hand raised.
Can we hear Catherine?
Surely, peace and blessings. So I put yes. I do have particular reaction, and it's more to the low vibrational side. I'm pretty much anti. So those are not just labels. Those are companies and I think philosophies. So I don't gravitate to them at all. And I think mostly because I equate them with wealth, the empty type of wealth where I have a lot and you don't, and you're not included. So I don't gravitate to those names that you mentioned. I recognize that I actually go the opposite way. I want to find a balance in my life because I don't want to chase away things that belong to me. However, for today, I recognize that I'm not connected to them in a high vibrational way. Yeah, and I don't see how it benefits us. When I say us, the us that is sharing today with coming up with not being included and finding value in a tone, a skin complexion that gets under my skin, to think of how many young ladies and older ladies and young girls who had to deal with what you guys have been talking about, what we have to deal with. You know, our aunties scrubbing our elbows with Comet because they were too dark, and, you know, seeking this illusion of perfection by the way we look, by looking with our naked eye. Yeah, no, I'm not, the more I'm talking now, it's like, no, I'm low vibrational to those companies, those ideas. I am, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That is so important. I think that exactly because of that, I wanted to create a new company because of fashion, because I felt that luxury was a human right, not just belongings, but an experience of ourselves, an experience of the world. And I didn't feel it was fair. I felt like it was a closed door and I couldn't come in. I remember going inside Cartier when I first came to New York to follow my dreams of being an actress. And I was so mistreated in that store. I couldn't understand it. And later, I think it was one of the first experiences that I had of like racism inside a shop. And it was devastating. And I still think about that. I mean, I'm not saying that Cartier as a company is that could have been just that store, but that was my firsthand experience of luxury in this country. Thank you so much. That is so useful and so important to hear. Let's talk about now beauty equity. Can we go to slide number 6? So beauty is a social construct. It is based on a social agreement ingrained in our system and psyches over time. Beauty is a social construct. Did you get that? A social construct, an agreement. It's something that we agreed on. And part of the mission of the company is like, you know, we don't have to agree. We're our own individual people who get to choose what beauty is. It is our call. And you see how companies start to bend to that. But let us create a definition together, and let me say what I came up with, and I want to know your input on what beauty equity can be, so that I can ground a company in these values. So beauty equity is the practice of purposefully honoring beauty as ever fluid, always changing, and born to the image of every human being. It encourages individuals to celebrate their uniqueness as perfect beauty, allowing their image to directly affect how beauty is perceived at the collective level. Can you guys tell me if there's a better way to look at this? If you have a more interesting, if you have something to add, what do you feel about this as a core heartbeat of a company when we build messaging around beauty equity? Anyone? You're getting lipsticks today. You're getting lip treatments today for anybody who participate. If that helps.
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, what does it feel like to you when you hear those words? Is that something that resonates? Is that something that invites you in? Is that something that you feel, if a company has that as part of their core values, is that something that you believe is achievable, to have a message of beauty equity, a beauty equity that translates to that?
All right, we have Catherine and then Marilyn.
Let's hear from you both.
I was thinking Marilyn could go first, please.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. When I heard your definition of beauty equity, I just felt all inclusive, everybody, everywhere, from the poorest places to every crick and cranny in this world that people don't hear the message. And if that's part of a brand and they can explore everywhere and just take that with them, I feel like it's going to be so successful, because people need to hear that the tribes they're from, the ethnicity they're from, the country they're from. No matter where in this world, there's beauty in them. And I just felt like when you were reading them, I just felt like it just surrounded me, wrapped me up, and just lifted me up. And if that's what a brand stands for, I'm all for it. Thank you. And I'm complete.
Thank you.
Catherine, are you ready now?
Yes, ma'am. So I don't know. I want to take just a moment to expose what's in my heart. While everything was happening earlier since the beginning of this session, what came to me is that if I refuse what's being presented to me through magazine, commercial, like it's been said, we decide what beauty is on a conscious and sometimes on an unconscious level. However, if I refuse that, well, in conjunction with that, so if I refuse that, then what am I going to embrace? And what I was thinking that's beneficial for me, and if it's beneficial for me, then it profits we, is that to come from a place of acceptance of who I am. My beauty is revealed through my relationship with my creator. So if I have a healthy relationship or I have a distinctive relationship with my creator, right? Because for the most part, I didn't create myself. Well, nowadays you can go by lips and butts, but for the most part, I didn't create myself. So as I go inside to see who I am, that's when I found out about my creator. And then that's when the unconditional love began to show up for myself. So then I am beautiful. Whatever's there, I am beautiful. I am enough. And that comes from, to me, a healthy perspective of who my creator is. And I'm going to say this. So if I don't accept that my creator does not look like me, and I accept the image of quote unquote God, looking how we've been conditioned to look at God in photos and such. To me, that's where the muck and maya started to happen. So for me, as a grown person, I am identifying beauty with my relationship with God and accepting who I am as beautiful. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm processing. I'm taking notes.
Okay, no. So that's what it's in my heart right now, as far as us as a woman. I know there's men on the call. I'm saying us as a woman, as we're growing to be in connection with one another, and just moving away from this perception of the eyebrows must be perfect and this must be this, and we're photoshopping just everything. And so it's like, how do I accept who I am? And even if I showed up on camera now with my hair plaited and not looking very pleasant in my nightgown, so just to be okay with myself, I'm finding the important steps is to do the inside work, which directly connects me to the God of my understanding in a way that I'm accepted. Because when I went to church and exercised that perception of God, I didn't find peace. I didn't find love and inclusion with my brown, beautiful body. And with that, I'm going to pause.
Wow, thank you so much. You just, got me present, and it's something that I don't see in messaging, which is the sanctity and the preciousness of our lives. And you just opened up a whole world for me, and I need to process this, and I made notes. This is such a beautiful share. And I think on the previous session that I shared, I talked about being sick I've been very sick for a while. I've been struggling and getting help. And then, and when that happened, I was already in my journey of getting, of finding help and in my power and connection to myself, but that just leveled up so much for me. And so really quickly, I'm having some very acute GI problems. They found precancerous tissue. I've been having colonoscopies and just going through all this stuff, getting help. I'm seeing 4 doctors. Doctors were like, if we don't fix this, the acid levels are too high. This is cancer. So I'm in the space and the commitment of choosing health and choosing love and choosing transformation. But there is something, when we don't love ourselves, and I kept asking, who do I need to forgive? What do I need to release? How am I digesting life? What is all this acid? Is this anger and digging and turning inside and fearing for my life? For 6 weeks, there's no sleeping. The pain is so acute. The nights are endless. The conversations with God are deep. The giving up, the preparing my paperwork to leave my companies to my mother because I thought I was going to die because there was just no help. No one could find help. With where the network I had at the time, until I was like, I'm gonna choose life. I have the right to live. But just to say that, so what the space of what I was going through and what my psychology was at the time. But in that moment, do you think I care if my hair looked crazy? Do you think I cared if my shirt had a hole in it? I rocked my crazy hair to the store. I didn't care. And I just was like, I love you. You are perfect the way you are. I mean, my life transformed the moment life was put on a platter, like you decide. You decide how it goes and you decide what's important to you. And so there is a strong connection with our self-love that hires our sense of worth, that allows us to see ourselves differently in the mirror. So you are absolutely correct. And now I'm very present to how do I translate that into the messaging of a company? How do I make sure that, because that was my question. How do we express beauty equity? How do we empower people to look at themselves first before they interact with what I share? Because it's impossible to share all gorgeousness, all array of beauty in the world in one photo. Maybe not, I don't know. But I'm just like, how am I want to be so responsible for my community so that little girls like me don't experience these things. And I just think your share was so powerful. Thank you so much for that. So, I'm like, I can cry any second on this call. So the next thing I want to talk about is the words of Ibada Wadud. This lady blew my mind. She's such an inspiration. Let's go to slide number 7. Unless we have somebody who wants to share again. It is 7:52. I want to acknowledge those of us who need to leave at 8 o'clock. I am very, very thankful for your love and for being here. Is there something, admins, that needs to happen at this point before I move on?
So I will drop your information in the chat for those people who have to head out so that they can keep up with you after the session.
Thank you. Can I keep talking?
Oh yes, please keep going.
Okay. All right. So guys, this is an award-winning social entrepreneur, designer, and educator, Ibada Wadud, who you guys, if you can research her, take a class with her. She's unbelievable. So she says, within the field of design, whether we're professional designers or new to the field of design, and this goes for all of us, healers, entrepreneurs, everybody who's looking to make change in the world, our work is only as great as the rigor of our practices. We are always accountable for the outcome of our work. If the outcome is pain, it's by design. If the outcome is joy, it is by design. Remember, we talked about the systems of oppression and everything that is designed in our society is by design. So she poses the thought that skilled and rigorous designers are able to observe and notice and reflect on their power and privilege in order to actively work to dismantle oppressive systems while acknowledging that those systems are by design. And therefore, the good news is that liberation and equity can also be built by design. Remember, I was talking earlier about fostering liberation. How do I foster liberation and coming to you for help? So in order to foster liberation and equity, we have to be intentional about this. We can get rid of this slide. So with that said, I'm going to ask you what can be a very confronting question. I remember when I asked this to myself, a whole world opened up. I'm going to ask you, what privileges do you have? Reflect on the power of your privilege. And I need you guys to share. Who's ready?
Okay, so I'm going to call on Dakia. We haven't heard from you today. Can you share? Dakia. Veronica?
Can you elaborate on what you mean? Yes. So Ibada says that in order to actively dismantle oppressive systems, we need to observe and notice and reflect on the power of our privilege. So when the first thing I said when I heard this question was like, what privilege? Because I ain't got no privilege. And then I was like, no, Jenniffer, just like be open, take this question in. And then I was like, okay, well, whether I worked really hard for the privileges that I have or not, acknowledging the privileges looks like I can see and I can hear and I can be in this class, in this Zoom class very easily because I don't have a hearing and a visual impairment. That's a privilege that I have. How did I get that privilege? I was born with it. The thing about, when we talk about ableism, when we're designing to be more inclusive, those are things we have to think about. Based on oppression, I was born with, my body tendency is to be more lean. It's sort of natural for me. And inside the system of oppression, that is a privilege, right? Even my partner is a white male. He's Jewish, which comes with some, also some other subject, Semitic movements and stuff, but he's a white male. And immediately there's a different life experience that I have when I'm with him. Like I said earlier, when I walk in a room with my brother, it's a different thing. So those are privileges that I have. I didn't work that I have.
This designer are able to.
Excuse me?
I think Kenyofu was off mute
for
a
a
second.
So those are examples.
I did have my hand up. Maybe I can help them going in on this. So one of the things I can say I have a privilege with is that I'm a college educated woman, and I had the privilege to go to college. I had the privilege of having parents who invested and then had that money for me to go to school, and the roads and the opportunities that came with going to school, and just having that on your resume, that was a privilege. And something I heard the other day was pretty privilege. And so people doing things for me based off of how I look on the outside and not even knowing who I am, but just jumping to do things, especially men, because of my face and the beauty that I have and what they're attracted to. And so that goes back to the colorism as well, being on the fairer skin side versus friends and family who are of darker complexions. And we have those conversations about how different it is for them as well. So that's another privilege that I have.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's like it's such a it's there's something that happens to us. I took that on, and I was like, when I was able to acknowledge my privileges, I mean, a whole world opened up for me as a designer, as somebody who's looking to create a different world for all of us. Does anybody else wants to share?
Yeah, so Marilyn said the privilege I have is having access to education, especially that there are countries where females are not allowed to. Also, I'm the first in my family to go to college, and I'm working on 2 degrees.
Amazing. Yes, it's definitely, it changes your life experience. It gives you access to new opportunities. It changes your life, whether you worked hard for it or whether it was given to you or whether you were born with it. You know, and sometimes, especially when we're born with it, we don't realize it. Like we just take it for granted. We don't realize how there are other people that have a very hard life because of these things. And you know, it's sometimes it's easy to talk about, you know, other people and how they're oppressing us, and sometimes it's harder for us to see how we also have privileges and what does that look like. Anybody else?
Sitting here in Starbucks right now is a privilege. Having the funds to sit here and buy this $5 or $6 coffee and be on my computer, it's a privilege. And there actually there's a couple that sits here every day, and they're outside, and they're in a shelter, and they sit outside here throughout the day, and they go to their shelter after at night, and so they can't even afford to drink where they're sitting, but I can. And you know, and I don't know what their backgrounds are. You know, they might be college educated too, but fell on hard times. So even with this access that we have, these resources that we have, those things can be taken from us as well. So sometimes privilege is just momentarily as well. It doesn't have to last forever.
Yeah, this is a great point.
So Andrea has her hand up. You want to come off mute?
Yes, I'm off mute. Great morning and grand rising family. I was not going to speak, but something resonated with me with the young lady that she said about the privilege and in beauty and the purpose, you know, by design. I'm a nurse by profession, one, but I'm also a gardener, and being one of the founders of the garden. It started out with 6 and now it's down to 4 of us. But I never imagined in my life that I would leave Guyana in South America and being the co-founder of a garden in New York City. And that's huge. And when you use the term by design, I'm just, every day, I'm watching the garden grow. For some reason, I wanted to go to the garden very early this morning and open the gate. But I logged on here and I said, you know what, this conversation is interesting. I'll just wait it out and then I'll go to the garden and open the gate. But for me, the beauty and the transformation is just going to the garden. And as Catherine talked about God and the creator, you know, through me, that's transforming the garden and helping other gardeners transform that beauty. And that beauty is what we're going to eat. That's going to nourish us to have us looking more beautiful and radiate to the world, you know, because beauty is in so many aspects, and I love the nature, you know. So when you talk about the purpose, you know, by design, and you have the, you know, and I know where you're going with that, when you talk about these different areas, when Chanel and, you know, it's a conglomerate. So it's a huge topic, even though it just looks kind of easy on the surface, but it's deep. And you know, navigating all of that. But in terms of the privilege I look at that is that we have a piece of land in New York City to grow, have the ability to transform that piece of land and make it into something so beautiful that I wouldn't even recognize it years to come. And the goal is when I come back there, when I'm 100 years old, is to stand by the corner and say, wow, to see the transformation on a higher level. So, you know, we had an event there on Saturday for Juneteenth, and we got so much of an overwhelming response that a lot of the neighbors want to come back to help us and even transform it on a different level. And I'm really, really happy about that. And I'll pause at this moment, but that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing that. That is such a beautiful analogy as well for, creating beauty by design and intentionally, and how, what we reap is what we sow. I can imagine this gorgeous garden. Please give me the address. I want to go visit you. So with this
I'll
conversation,
drop it in the chat.
what?
We're gonna drop it in
Onto
the
the
chat.
garden.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll drop it in the chat.
yes. So what would it take to promote an idea of beauty that's equitable? Like, is representation enough? What do you guys think?
I think it kind of starts with gatherings like this. I think it's awesome that you're soliciting perspective from the community, and a community of color who has been removed from that conversation for so long, right? This concept of what beauty is and looks like for society. You're asking those of us who have not been included in those conversations how we feel about beauty equity, so that you can now build a brand that does the opposite of what we've been seeing this whole time. So you having these conversations with us promotes that within us, and we can promote that with other people, and then you'll promote it in your business, and other people will see that as well. So you're already starting to create a brand of beauty equity that we all hope will be promoted throughout the work and change and shifting.
Thank you. I took notes. There are go ahead.
No, go ahead. And then we're calling Luis.
No, go ahead, because I was gonna sort of start talking about a segue of what you just said. So I'll.
Okay, Luis, come on.
Hi, Luis. Be safe.
Hi, sorry. I'm driving, so I was
Make
trying
sure
to
you be safe.
Thank you. I am. So, I appreciate this conversation about beauty. I'm gonna say, for me, I'm 50. So when I was in the 90s, I was going to college, and I discovered, racism really hit me, and I had not been exposed to it before. So I learned a lot in terms of beauty. And I remember being in college, and Frances Cress Welsing came, she's the author of the ISIS paper. She came and spoke at our college, and she said, she was looking around at us, and she said, how many of you have your natural hair? And at that time, I had a perm. And then she talked about us imitating white women's beauty. And even though I had never consciously thought that I was imitating a white woman, the images in the media, the images when you look at the dolls and what is promoted, showed me what was beautiful, and it was not my natural hair. And then hearing all about good hair versus, oh, she got good hair, she just got some Indian in her, or she must be mixed. So then what is bad hair? So then the idea of bad hair is now my natural hair. So when Frances Cress Welsing came in, I was in my 20 years old, never heard this. I was like, oh my gosh, I had never thought about that. So it kind of woke me up and, jerked me to be present to what am I feeding into that's anti who I am as an African woman, and for me to learn that and to love that and to internalize that, I wanted to be able to, whatever children I eventually had in the future, to be able to love themselves. I am thankful, at least so far, I have a 19-year-old son, a 13-year-old daughter. Both of them have locks. My daughter's complexion is very dark. And I made sure from the beginning that I gave her books that show the beauty of Blackness. I love myself, you know, for her to be able to love her complexion. She only got black dolls. And I got a lot of pushback. Oh, you're teaching her to hate people. I'm like, nah. When you look at these studies, when they're showing people that, oh, well, let's include white dolls, so many of the children are picking a white doll as the image of beauty over black ones. So I said, she's going to love herself first. And I didn't care what anybody thought. Today, I'm thankful that she loves her dark chocolate, beautiful complexion. She loves her locks because it's not guaranteed. She didn't have a choice in terms of having locks. And, you know, I'm just thankful that we are able to communicate. And I try to surround myself with a community of friends who thought the same way in terms of beauty and in terms of trying to break the chains of psychological slavery, which also has a huge dealing in terms of our image of ourselves. So you come in here to bring up this topic and really kind of delve in. I mean, it's so deep because the media and the images out there is what drives so much of it. You know, it's such a well thought out and purposely thing done to make us think that we're ugly and that we have no place in what beauty is. And we are absolutely the originators of beauty. When you look at ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, makeup originally done there, who were dark skinned like myself and other people. So we are the originators of beauty. We have been co-opted and taught to think, oh, well, you need to do this. Oh, well, we hate you, but yet we're going to put stuff in our lips and we're going to get bigger butts to emulate you. So I know this was a bit long-winded. Thank you for this. Just want to say I do think that there's beauty, and we have to teach our children to love themselves, whatever their complexion is, whatever their melanated skin is. We have to teach them to love themselves first so they can show up in the world as their best self. Thank you for this. I'm complete.
تhank you, Louise. This is so much in here. Well, first of all, yes, our children, which is one of the reasons I'm currently working with my niece, and she's doing the course with me called Reclaim Your Beauty. And I want to get this course to as many young people as possible because I'm seeing like how her world is changing, having these conversations. I mean, they have the added pressure of of Facebook and Instagram. And there are studies that show that the more even adults, but teenagers spend time on these apps, the more it affects their body positivity, their well-being, their psychological state, their self-love, their self-esteem, their self-worth. I mean, it's a real pandemic. There's, suicide causes attached to low self-worth and low self-esteem. It's a big monster. So I agree with you that we have to work with our children and with our teenagers to transform this because they have so much pressure now with social media added to the mix. There are companies that are doing work towards this, companies that I feel have a sincere message. And so, guys, equity-centered design is a process, like all process and artistic expression, it can be chaotic. And so we must exercise a lot of empathy and forgiveness and love and good humor when it comes to the process, to equity-centered design, and very rigorous and rinse and repeat and going back to the drawing board and including the people who we want to serve, the minoritized communities as well. So, it's a process. But an equity-centered design is 360. It includes not just the human-centered design aspect, which revolves around problem solving around the humanistic perspective, but it includes the environment. It includes, the indigenous people. We look to make sure that we take care of everyone as part of the process. And for that, I cannot design for people who experience, certain types of oppression that I don't understand without calling them to the table. So I want to talk about companies like, Dove and Adidas, which I think are it feels to me, and you can make your own decision, that are making attempts to create a more equitable approach to their advertisement. We have one to show to you, and you, because of Facebook and Zoom, we cannot show what it looks like, but we're going to provide the link on the chat. It's slide number 8. And you got to click on that to go see what it looks like, because it's a bunch of, there's nudity in it. And let's just go to slide number 8 so that I can show you sort of how this campaign was shared.
Jennifer, I want to bring your attention to 2 hands as up. One is mine, the other one is De Larissa. I don't know, do you want to take the shares now or just slide?
Yeah, let's take the shares now.
Okay, so I have the floor.
Yes.
And I really thank you for this conversation. It's definitely needed. And yeah, so first, like representation is part of it. What's needed is also acceptance and love, not just self-love, but other love as well. And I think other love will come from self-love. So Catherine, what she shared, you know, I put myself off a video because my hair is looking like this, and there's nothing wrong with my hair. It's just not like, it's not like in the world, you know, because I just, you know, I have my own identification of what it should look like when I'm in the presence of other people. And that comes from the whole history of racism and beauty, what, you know, the beauty defined by the other. So there is I had a conversation with someone a while back, and it's like difference between beauty and pretty. So the person being beautiful, person being pretty, like those are it came up that those are 2 different looks. And I don't know what the reality is there. And so I'm just dropping that in there. So when a person looks inside, it looks in the mirror, I know for myself, some days I will look like, oh, I am beautiful. And other days I'm like, well, I'm pretty. And other days I'm like, well, not today. And however, it's me, it's still my face. So even though my hair looks like this today, and tomorrow it will look different because it's big, you know, and I will have a different perception of myself because of what my hair looks like, or what earring I'm wearing, or what clothes I'm wearing. Like, that's not me. What's me is my face. And so if I could be beautiful in a hairstyle or in the clothing, I'm still beautiful outside of that hairstyle or that clothing. So my perception changes based on whatever is implanted in my brain. And in that same way, my perception of others changes. So when I walk down the street and I see someone, in my brain just dropped, you know, a phrase drops in my brain that, you know, something negative, something non-affirming. Like, I don't want to think that, but something will be there. And I'm conscious of it. And I'll ask myself, well, why do I have that thought? So it's definitely the same type of mirror reflection, that this person is who they are. And when I can practice acceptance and love and release, then I can release the judgment, and then they are beautiful, ultimately. And I'm complete.
Thank you for that. I think it's such a powerful distinction to make. It was like, yeah, it was me still, me with the same hair, me with the, with the hair, without the hair, what changes. So the idea of perception and then self-love and love, I love that, because the conversation isn't me or them. It's about including your definition of beauty, you as your definition of beauty. Is that and this, right? I always say that comparing ourselves to others is kryptonite. It's really debilitating for your spirit. And it's a trap. It's definitely a trap. You can never be someone else. You can never, you can allow them to inspire you. And I think honoring, decoration, I mean, it's very tribal as well. Like, our ancestors would do it. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful practice. I love doing all these different things too myself and putting fun outfits. But ultimately the conversation is about, me and my essence, me and my body, me with my avatar that allows me to be here, the gratitude, having, at best sometimes be neutral, right? Like if you can quiet down the self-loathing, sometimes we look at ourselves in the mirror and as we age, we're like, who are you? We start to see how we're changing right in front of our eyes, and having compassion, acceptance, you talked about perception of change of the self and others. I think is super, important. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anybody else
And we
wanted to
have,
share?
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Hi.
Well, there's a lot to mention on this topic, and I think from the beauty equity, we moved right now into what is the actual self-love and self-worth. And I think actually we did the right thing, because for me, the beauty equity, right, to see like everybody's beautiful as they are, I cannot say that if I don't feel like that for myself. And it's such a like responsibility that first you have to take responsibility for how you feel about yourself, because it's actually a one-on-one work. So like right now I'm working on the Reclaim Your Beauty program, and it's a lot. It's just it's not just like, oh, I'm beautiful and I feel beautiful and I like myself, and it's I think it's a lot of a big background. I've been working with Jen on this program, and it's heavy in the sense of that it's a lot that comes out into how you see yourself. Especially I am in the fitness industry, and I had a lot of, this is my personal experience, I had a lot of always feeling like if I didn't have like all these six-pack, I was just, how am I going to present like a trainer, right? Or if my arm feels a little bit bigger, how come my client has a better arm than I do, and stuff like that. So, and a lot of like self-image problems. And I think a lot of people go through this, and it's good to take the shame out of it and confront it, because otherwise it's never going to be healed. And so I heard something that Jen, that you said on one of the shares that you do on Facebook, the daily shares, that said like, make sure that your definition of beauty includes you, like you're included in that on that definition. And I thought that was like, I was like, wait a second, I don't know if I'm included in that definition of beauty in my head. For me, beautiful is a woman with long legs and like that. And I was like, I want to start to make sure that I fit on the definition of beauty. And with that, a lot of work that we've done, right, has come into not just the beauty, the avatar, as you call it, that I love that, but the self-worth. And then it comes boundaries. And then it comes saying no when you want to say no. And saying, business wise, the price that I'm going to put for my sessions, oh my God, I mean, it's so much because of what I think that I can offer. And if somebody tells me like, can you please, like I used to give everything for free, and then until we've been working, and no, I mean, this is what I think that it's worth. And so I just think that it's so much. And I say this because on the program that I've been working, I see that there's a lot of background. There's a lot of digging in, and sometimes it is scary, but definitely I think that when it's like you open a drawer and it's so messy, but when you kind of like put things in order, it just feels better. And as women, it's our responsibility. I think I want to close with this, that it is a responsibility to feel the way that we want to feel, because nobody else is going to make us feel. And brands do a lot of community work, but we have to sit down with ourselves and really ask ourselves, how do I feel about myself? And how do I feel about my relationships and all that stuff? And it's a lot of work, but I think it's a good topic. It's good to talk about it. So thanks.
Thank you, Larissa. What a beautiful share. Well, it is 8:24, and we're close to the end of this presentation, but we probably have another 15-20 minutes. So if anybody has to go, I want to thank you so much for being here with us. I'm going to move forward to share now the campaign for Adidas. And I'm really, really eager. I stand neutral here. I want to know how you feel about this. And I'll give you a little bit of a background before you go to that link and see why it came about. So there was a man, a self-proclaimed Christian, that wrote on Twitter, "There is no reason whatsoever for you to post pictures of yourself in low-cut shirts, bikinis, bras, and underwear, or anything similar ever. Not to show your weight loss journey, not to show your newborn baby, not to document your birth story." And then he signed it, "Your brothers." He signed it on behalf of a gender. So Adidas wrote to him, "Dear Brian, all bodies should be celebrated and supported without shame or exception. Hashtag support is everything." Then about an hour later, they did it on the Adidas, that was Adidas UK, because I believe Brian is from the UK. They came to the Adidas USA and wrote, "We believe women's breasts in all shapes and sizes deserve support and comfort, which is why our new support bra range contains 43 styles, so everyone can find the right fit for them." And then they put the collection, and you can go to see the collection, and then the hashtag. So this was an hour later after they responded directly to this individual, and they posted the picture. Can you write in the chat if you're able to see the picture of that campaign?
Drop the screenshot in there for one, so you should be able to click on it.
Chantel, I think the link that we want is this here, a.did.as.
Yeah, so when you open it, it might have, I saw something where it says you need to change your settings to view because of the nudity. So once I clicked that, it did work, but I also dropped a screenshot for people who can't find it on the Twitter page.
Oh, Esa just posted it. You're gonna have to click the view because it has nudity. So when you get to the page, you should see Brian's answer, and then
click view. Yeah, click the view button and it will show it after you click that button. Or you can click on the screenshot that's in the chat.
So I'm clicking on the link that says Twitter, right? Adidas UK, that one. And it takes me to a Twitter page. It doesn't take me to anything that I can see. Says.
Are you clicking the link that's in the chat?
I believe you have to open your, you should have like open account on Twitter so you can access that.
I was able to open it and I don't have mine signed in here. So as soon as you click on the chat, click on the link, you should see something right under the post that says view. And then when you click on that, the image comes up, but I also put the screenshot in here as well, and I'll drop it again. So you don't have to open it.
Luis, I got your message. I'm taking a note. Thank you for that.
I'm curious to know who's able to open up the screen share. It takes a couple of things to do. Might need some technical support there.
This is Stacy. It just goes to Twitter.
Yes.
So it's exactly the way that someone said, that you tap the link and then you tap the tiny little button that says view. As soon as you tap that view, you can see all the boobs pop up.
Right. And then can we
Hola, mi
ask,
amor.
Hola,
you guys?
Stacy.
I sent screenshot.
Yeah,
Well,
me too. So can you guys open the screenshot? Is that accessible?
I'm seeing the tweets. It talks about we are a company that supports racism. Is that what we're supposed to be seeing or no?
Do you all see the boobies? That's what the image is. We just can't show it because we don't want to get shut down on Facebook.
Yeah, we don't want to get shut down. So okay, so maybe here, Luis is laughing.
Picture different boobies, that's all.
Listen, so Adidas responded to Mr. Bryan, and it's a sort of like a lead up for their new 43 sports bra collection that supports all kinds of boobies. And it's all boobies, all shapes, all sizes. Some of them you can see that they've gone through chemotherapy, breast cancer. There's just all of it there. As a response to this man saying what he said on Twitter. There's no faces, just their breasts. You can even see that one lady has, I think in English is vitiligo. It's like when you have the melanin in the body, you start to lose the color on your skin. They made it super diverse. And I was curious to see what your reaction was to something like that, because it was controversial. The response on Twitter, everybody came up, like the man went crazy, just the conversation. And Adidas is responding actively. We wanna remove the taboo. Women, this deserves to have freedom. We want to celebrate women's body. And it was just super chaotic online. And I just wanted to know how you felt about something like that.
Well, the first thing I did was try to find my boobies in this. Identify where am I in this? Am I represented in this? And as someone who struggles with loving my breath, Stacey and I have this conversation often where I try to I don't care what my aerial is, and so seeing that okay, other people have it, they didn't mind taking these pictures, and there are ones that they look very different, and so understanding that it's okay for mine to look the way they do, we're all different. So this was actually very helpful for me.
Okay, Zakia says, I'm not clear on its purpose. Okay, got that.
We have Veronica and then Cece. So Veronica,
Hi, good morning. I was looking for my breasts, which aren't there, because I am a breast cancer survivor. And so what came to mind is when I was in the room having surgery, I was still awake. They hadn't, the anesthesiologist didn't get me to go to sleep completely. And so the last thing I heard was the doctor say, we're going to take a big chunk of this. That's the last thing he said. And so right now I have 2 different size breasts. So what I'd like Adidas to do is to make a cup that would accommodate an insert. So that, because I would have to run upstairs to get the insert, but the insert enlarges my left breast to accommodate a bra. And so I don't have any bras that fit me perfectly, because I have 2 size breasts. So my breast is not represented in that ad. And there are a lot of other women like me who have not had mastectomies, but have had chunks of their breasts removed. And every day I get up and I come out of the shower and I have a full length mirror and I look at my breasts, because I love them, both of them, because they served me. I've breastfed my children. I make them look like they're equal. And I celebrate myself for being alive. And I'm complete. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Veronica.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else wants to share?
Stacey?
Okay. So
Good
it's
morning.
Essie speaking.
Hello.
Stacy, go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
Grand rising, everyone. So good to see you. I didn't know. Thank goodness I looked up at my camera. I didn't move it somewhere else. So, and thank you for that. Like even just clicking on the link, because when I first clicked on it, I only saw the first row. So I only saw like 5 boobs. And then I was like, well, I don't see my boobs and it's all good. And then I scrolled down and I was like, oh, there's more. Now we're all different. There's gazillion boobs. We're not going to find exactly our boobs. Like I would have to merge 3 of those pairs to look like what mine look like. Right. So, and it's all good. I got that they were trying to represent. And then I did see one boob that looked like it probably had like a scar, but it was up and another one was down. So even though we won't see exactly what's there. And I heard you, Veronica, loud and clear. That would be something awesome to have, like, to companies and to write to them like, oh, I feel like this is not represented. So, like, I'm a survivor and this would be awesome. That could be something that they didn't even think about doing, even though they had this representation. It could be like, wow, that just, if anything, that just brings them more clientele and helps them with their marketing. So I got your communication. I want to acknowledge you for just even standing up for yourself and just even saying that, because some of us, you could have went off the Zoom and just not said anything at all, like, oh, here we go again, that kind of thing. So thank you. And thank you, Chantel. I'm so glad that you're on here and that she even said anything about her boobs, because I will randomly text Chantel and be like, did you look in the mirror today? Did you thank your boobs today? Did you say I love you today to your boobs? And I think it's just so important for us to love on ourselves, like just to really love on ourselves, which is why I love the Ho'oponopono. Like, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, because it's just like doing that work with ourselves daily, whatever it is. And it's so funny, like they actually, and I mean, hurry up, called me back. I did a mammogram a few weeks ago and they were like, oh, you have to come back to do the test. And I was like, for what? And then the girl was just like, oh, it's the same test. I was like, but a minute ago you said that there's something about that you couldn't see or that they want to see. So you said a different name. So is this in fact the same test or is it a different test? She was like, well, the person who took the test, the tech, they want to go more in depth with the test. I said, so you get that you're calling me about a test and then you said it's the same test, then it's not the same test. So I'm thinking in my head, this doesn't work for the way that she's still talking to me, even if she was nervous or if there's something she's not supposed to say. But then she finally said the left breast has more density, so they're not able to see the vision, like the scan is clear, so they want you to. I said, great, thank you for the clarification. So I was like, Stacey, I'm not gonna make her wrong, because I wanted to take her down the whole nother trail of make wrong, of like, you calling people house about boobs, you better make sure that you're saying whatever you need to say before you scare me or whatever, so I didn't get into that. I just thanked her and was like, let me have compassion for her, because she's calling people and who knows what she have to go through to call people. So thank you for this conversation. And it's really great just to be in the conversation. What I did put in the chat is that I'm going to have this conversation with my son. Does he see himself represented, like when he thinks of beauty? Because my son loves to blow dry his hair and has to have his hair straight. And I do know a large component of that is because he has 4C hair, which, everybody probably don't know what kind of hair, different hair. He has extremely thick hair. And for him to comb that hair on his own, he's like, I'm just gonna not do that. So it's either probably be, I don't know what, or who. And I also know that he has some judgment and everything about colorism and about white people's hair. And, he wants Mexican hairdo and just like all these different things that he said. These are his words. And just having that conversation with him, because I do speak to him frequently about beauty, but I just want to ask him that key question that Jenniffer brings up. That's the campaign in itself. Is your representation of beauty, say it, Jenniffer, what is it again?
Does your idea of beauty include you?
Perfect. So thank you so much. I'm going to continue to have that conversation with him. And thank you for being here in this space and causing this awareness, because it just expands beauty for us all. So thank you everybody.
Thank you so much. You know, I think it's having, you know, the conversation to what you just said about Josh's hair. I think going back to celebrating and adorning and, you know, having fun with our bodies in whatever way we have fun with it and we like to decorate it. If we go from a place like, I love myself, I love my natural hair, and I want to color it, you know, like it's there's a different approach. There's the philosophy of the approach. We can both get to the river. One of us can be there, go there kicking and screaming, and the other one can go there doing the tango, right? I much rather do the tango. So it's like, you know, it's honoring your hair the way it is and doing it because you want to straighten it, not because you want to look like someone else, has a different result in your soul, has a different vibration in your soul. And it's about that authenticity, that power of choice, what you want to do because you want to do it for yourself rather than we want to look like someone else, right? Does anybody want to share before I move on? Because we're getting close to wrapping
Yes,
the
we
time.
have Essie was up next actually. in your book.
Okay.
It's me. Hi, this is
No, it's
Teresa.
Essie. Teresa.
Oh,
Sorry.
Hi, Yesse.
She's been trying to
Oh,
get
hi
to the
everyone.
front.
I was like super like distracted to like listening. So like I'm about to say something and it like wipe out.
Oh, you forgot? It's okay. We can come back to you. Let's
you.
go with Teresa. Thank you.
I just woke up, but I'm glad for this conversation because women my size has never been in those stores, have never been thought about us, and it does make you feel bad sometimes that we can't get some of these fancy stuff. And um um like dealing with what Stacey said, when you are going to get your breasts, because I was diagnosed with cancer at one time, I'm always scared to go get a mammogram because we don't know. And so I had the incident happen to me. Well, you got to come back. I was like, why? You know, it was like, why I got to come back? She was like, oh, because the we got to do another deeper test. And so it does put a lot of pressure on you when you dealt with stuff like that. But also, it's like I'm just glad that you are sticking up for us because um, a lot of these stores don't cater to large women, and so we can't like Avenue has, I think Avenue and only stores that cater to certain underwear is Avenue and what's the other one? Ashley Stewart. And so with the prices sometimes are so phenomenal, you know, for you to get a really fancy cute little bra. You know, they just starting to do that stuff. But um I feel a lot better about my body because you know, going from that, but I feel better about my body now than ever because I tell my belly and different parts of it that I love it, no matter how big that it is. And so my self-esteem about my body is a lot better. But I grew up with the, you know, I'm too big or I'm too light, whatever. So um, having this conversation just really just brightened my day. Even though I woke up and I came at the end, it just brightened my day to know that you are out. You're putting this information out in the community so people to know that you know they are beautiful. That whatever how your body looks like. I have I suffer with lymphedema, so I haven't had a pair of shoes on in 100. It's like 100 years, but haven't had a pair of shoes on since I was 16. No, since I was 20 years old. So I got these shoes that look like what's the name of what I call it? Cabbage Patch shoes. That's actually how my feet look in the shoes. And so when people see my shoes, I say, "Yep, I love my Cabbage Patch shoes." So mind your business. They keep my feet, but I was so worried about how my feet would look in them that I didn't protect my feet. So my feet got really messed up because I wore flip flops every day. But that's how much the insecurity of you know me looking different in my Cabbage Patch. I call them Cabbage Patch shoes. Um, you know, had an effect on me. And so now I proudly wear my shoes that look like Cabbage Patch. And so when people see them, they was like, "I didn't know you have shoes." I said, "Yeah, girl, I've been had shoes," because they used to be wearing flip flops. So I understand, you know, discrimination of how that feels when you only can fit in one certain size. And so I'm just grateful for these conversations that everyone's having and, you know, love your body, however it looks, you know, it's like I was lucky enough to find a store that makes stockings that could fit my leg, but for years I couldn't. I just had to just do what I had to do. And someone made me some socks. So that's how they would get socks. But they don't make stuff to adjust to people who have disabilities. That's one of the things that they don't have out here that are really cute. Thank you, and I'm complete.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Yes, that's a big one. When I was little, I was made fun of for my big feet. They used to use the story of the Chinese feet bounding, and if I were Chinese, I would be the most ordinary and graceless woman in the world. And that was I was 7 years old. So the insecurity, I never showed my feet for a very long time. I understand and how something like that can just corrupt your spirit so much. I want to drive us towards the end of this presentation. We're almost there. The company, just want to tell you a little bit about these high fashion companies and sort of like, from the top to the bottom to the experiences inside store. I told you about Cartier. Moschino, I think it's Moschino USA, had a lawsuit. We learned about it in 2019, and they got sued by a former employee because they were using the code word Serena, like Serena Williams, for Black clients, people of color. And they expected the employees to go after these Serenas because they were afraid they were going to steal. So a former employee took them to court. Let's look at slide number 9, because I want to make justice to the words of the New York Times. So, this is post Black Lives Matter. And I'm just saying this to you because I want you to show you the power that we have as people and how we shape, how we demand brands to change. So against the backdrop of the 2020 protests, the fashion world vowed it would change. In an effort to find out, the New York Times looked for concrete numbers about who gets to make fashion, sell fashion, and represent fashion. They asked a set of companies identical questions. It was about 64 companies. The percentages of Black people on their executive teams, on their boards, among overall employees, as well as their ad campaigns and on their runways, shelves, magazine covers. They also asked about their measurable targets for change inside this conversation. They declined to comment, but responded, ending racism has been at the heart of our brand communication since its inception. And for me, that's a bold statement. Maybe as bold as mine for my company, but I was like, how are you doing this? I haven't found in my research, that doesn't mean that they're not doing it, but this is a message that a company is declaring. And I'm like, wondering, how is that coming? What is the work that needs to happen for you to do that work to the point that we are feeling something like that, not just as a pivot, not only as a strategy, not only as a way to increase sales or target an audience that spends a lot of money, but it's a real sincere message that you're willing to execute. And so I bring this up because multi-million-dollar companies that have so much power over messaging control the message. And the idea that they propose can serve you or not, but it is up to us to accept. Beauty is a standard, it's not accidental, and it reflects the power structure in our society. So the Black Lives Movement changed forever the direction of fashion. Can we get present to that? The conversation changed. The representation started to change. We started to see companies sort of hustling and strategizing and bowing to make changes. We, the people, have power. And I just want you to walk away knowing that we don't have to sit here and be dictated what things are. We can interact with it in a way that and choose what we accept or not. And so with this, at the end of this conversation, I want to bring the questions back to you, and we may not be able to answer them. We may be able to begin to answer them. I've got so much from you guys. I've made notes all over the place. I feel so lucky and so privileged to have you supporting, because I want to make this company for us, to change the trajectory of high fashion and for our children to have a different experience when it comes to it. The questions are, how can a brand champion beauty equity, and how can brands empower us, the people, to honor our beauty first as we interact with whatever beauty they propose? Do we feel that we've answered some of that? Do we feel that we have more awareness around that? Can one person share?
So Andrea has her hand up from before. Andrea, can you answer this question that Jenniffer just posed? I don't see anybody else hand up for this question.
No, I was really responding to Veronica, was gonna respond to Veronica's share.
Okay, can you do that? Can you respond in the chat, based on our time? And who has the answer for Jenniffer? Is it Stacy? Are you responding?
Oh no, I was responding to Z about testicles and boobs. But I was trying to get Jennifer's question again so she can ask it again. Can you say it again?
And it's also in the chat.
Yeah, it's how can a brand champion beauty equity? I think we have answered. I think we've answered some of this. You know, as a starting point at the very least. And how can brands empower us, the people, to honor our own beauty first as we interact with whatever beauty they propose? I heard that we discussed, you know, love, self-acceptance. I got from Louise, I think it was Louise or Veronica, that, you know, to contact dolls, Black makers and people who create Black dolls. I think that's a fabulous idea. Having these conversations, getting together with groups such as this to have the conversation to include everybody. Essa, you're on. Do you want to share something?
Oh, yes. So for me, whenever I wear branded clothing, perfume, I feel like expensive, beauty, confident whenever I wear those products. But the thing is, it's too expensive and it's like taking a lot of money if you're gonna take that. So for me, it's like you have to start owning your beauty to be confident, to be surrounded with expensive people. Like you don't care if you're just wearing like a normal perfume, but you smell great. You don't care if you're not using a branded product, but you look great. You own your beauty, you own your confidence. So like for me, this brand name, it's just like a name. But the thing is you have to start loving yourself so you can be like expensive without using expensive things. And that would be all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I get the financial aspect of luxury interaction. I get the experience of luxury. Yes, thank you. I got that. Well, guys, this has been real. I'm so grateful that you've all stuck with me during this time. I know that it's such a complex subject, and it's like a prism. There's so many angles. We all have our own story and interaction with it, trauma surrounding it, and desire to change things. I can feel how so many people in this community want to transform this conversation, especially for the younger generation. It's been real. Thank you so much. And with that, I am complete. So today we're giving away one Reclaiming Your Beauty course. I believe we have number 12. Who's number 12?
Yes, I counted earlier and Teresa is number 12.
Teresa, we're going to work together. You've won the Reclaiming Your Beauty course. So I'll be in contact with you. If you will accept it, will you accept it?
Are you talking to Teresa Scott?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, yes, I will. I love that. Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm so excited that we get to work together. It'll be such a
We'll hang out.
lovely, lovely journey. And so for everybody else who participated, you're going to get a free lip treatment from Madame Turpeau. All you need to do is go to the Madame Turpeau page, which is at the bottom, www.madameturpeau.com. Go to contact and then write your information there, your name, your phone number, your email, and your address. And then just let me know some love from the Wake Up Everybody community. And I will be mailing you our bestseller, most amazing, all organic, toxic free lip treatment. You can also use it under your eyes. We love it so much.
A bit about this course that you're talking about, and I think some of us in the group are a part of. How do we find out more about that? Reclaiming Your Beauty?
So reclaimingyourbeauty.com is on the website here on this contact page, reclaimingyourbeauty.com, and then you'll see the course there. We have the one-on-one coaching, and we have the course that you can watch anytime. You can pace it at your own pace. Then you have my Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. Now, remember, my name has 2 N's and 2 F's, double. My email for Beauty Builders is contact.beautybuilders@gmail.com. And yeah, join me on my Facebook page where I give you a dose of love on the daily. It's called the Beauty Builders Club.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this was a wonderful presentation. There's more. I feel like there's more in it. We got deep into some conversations that we haven't had before or in this way. This is your time to show Jenniffer your love. Show Jenniffer how much you appreciate what she brought out in you. And one of the things she brought out in you is your beauty. So you can give her your love offering of whatever it is that your heart says. You can go to Zelle or Quick Pay at SOWleadershipdevelopment@gmail.com or Cash App, $Spirit of a Woman, and the link will be dropped in the chat. The code for Jenniffer is 613JT. So do consider giving Jenniffer your love offering. And we have this love offering system where you can choose on a monthly basis to have a certain number come out of your account automatically. And this is in addition to the actual facilitator love offering. This allows the whole month to be covered, whether you are present or not. So you can choose from $25, $50, $75, or $100. And each link is different for each amount. And the links are dropped in the chat. So you can set it and forget it. Jenniffer?
Oh, so sorry. I was looking at the beautiful chat. So tomorrow we have joining us for History and Capoeira, Ntambuzi Mlimgwengu. Did I say that right?
You sound like a Tanzanian.
Yes. And then on June 23rd, Thursday, we have Role Play Part 4, Atonement, facilitated by Martine Elisa Malivers. Come show up some love. This sounds so interesting. I'm coming.
Thank you. All right, so new members, if you're out there, please let us know. We're very interested in seeing you. So say in the chat, I'm new. And if you're doesn't matter if you're in Zoom or on Facebook, just say I'm new, and our community will gather around you, give you a hug, and welcome. So we want you to come back again. So we're here 5 days a week. Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday is our long days, 7 to 8:30. And Monday and Wednesday are our short days from 7 to 7:30. So sign in on Zoom or on Facebook, that's where you can find us all days. And if you want a special alert, a special text message to wake you up in the morning to say, get up on in here, this is what you will do. Open up your phone to a blank text, type 74121 in the to section, in the number section, right? And then Woo Nation in the comment, press send, that's it. Then you'll be on our automated text messaging system. We have swag. So you go to /Woo swag and get your merch. You can choose from a thermos, a mug, a laptop sleeve, a bag, a journal, a mask of different colors, as well as sweatshirt and t-shirts of different colors and sizes. So make sure that you make your selection today. And we want you to stay in touch. What you will want to do is to register every week so that you can be on our email message system, email messaging, so that you can see who's coming up for the week. Our lineup changes every week. And so we need you to register every week. If you don't register, you will not get the email to say who's going to be present, and then you'll be out of the loop and wondering what happened. We are also on Facebook. Oh, I didn't give the link. To register is bit.ly/wake up movement. And we also on Facebook, we have two pages. One is a private page where we're streaming live now. That's bit.ly/Woo community. And we have a public page, which is a fan page. You go there and you click like, bit.ly/Woo Nation. Woo Nation is uppercase. We're on Instagram at Wake Up Everybody Virtual, and we're on YouTube, bit.ly/Woo on YouTube. And we have an email. Email is info.wakeupseries@gmail.com. So please do share with us anything that you would like, and we're glad to hear from you. I'm stopping to share now. I'm asking you all to unmute yourself so we can give Jenniffer a love shower. And thanks and appreciation for this wonderful workshop.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you,
That was
Jennifer.
beautiful.
Awesome.
Thank you for
so
coming
very
here
much.
and being
Thank you,
transparent
to my
and
sister
just
Jennifer.
wanting to make a
Wonderful.
difference. Thank you, thank you, thank
Awesome.
you.
Come
very
here. We
Have a
love
great day,
y'all.
everyone.
Continue
Nice
to be in
to
the
meet everyone.
community.
Wonderful. Bravo.
So we look forward to
Wonderful.
seeing you every week.
Yes.
Thank
Y'all are so
you, Jennifer, for the
awesome.
great
Thank you
presentation.
so
For
much.
More
everyone that's
discussion.
on here.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
That
so
Chantel.
we
much.
keep
And
reawakening
Oh, but say,
ourselves,
let's
your
work for
beauty,
everybody.
Great
and
admins.
to keep
Y'all
doing the
rock.
work. It's
Everyone
Thank
ongoing.
that I haven't
you.
seen in a long
Thank you for
time.
being the
Hope that
I
we
vessel
were
love
to
able
bring
to
this
y'all.
help
to
you in
us.
your
So,
research today, that it moved you
Muchas,
yes, that
forward.
muchas
was so
Love
good.
y'all.
gracias, mi amor.
You empowered me
Gracias,
so
mi
much.
amor.
You
Oh,
empowered me. I'm working
I
on this
love you,
Thank
project.
you,
Jennifer. I love
Jennifer.
y'all, Woo
You're
So
Nation.
much to
amazing,
go
Jennifer.
Stay
through my
beautiful.
project.
Don't
Thank
Yes,
let,
you
I'm
don't
so
let
much.
doing.
negativity
Thank you,
away
thank
from
you,
us.
thank you.